My name is Zoe Carter. I'm 19 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the family joke. It started small, little things like calling me zoned out Zoe whenever I forgot something, or trailed off in a conversation. I was a quiet kid, always sketching or writing poems, not the loud and flashy type like my cousins. But somewhere along the line, teasing turned into full-on public humiliation. Thanksgiving dinners? Roasts? Basically. Not of the turkey, of me. Zoe, still talking to your invisible internet friends? Uncle Pete would laugh, nudging my older cousin Kyle. She's gonna be a famous TikTok poet one day. Kyle would mock in a fake, dreamy voice. Everyone laughed. Always. I'd smile politely, gripping my fork tighter. Say nothing, swallow the lump in my throat. It was easier than being called dramatic. I was always the too sensitive one, the can't take a joke girl. But what they didn't know was, I was watching, listening, storing every word, and writing it all down. It got worse after I started my YouTube channel. I didn't even tell anyone at first. I just posted spoken word poems and quiet commentary videos. Nothing fancy, just me, a mic, and the words I needed to say. My channel was small, but growing. I had a few hundred loyal subscribers who got it, who liked the quiet way I told stories, who felt what I felt. But once my family found out, game over. My cousin Emma showed everyone a clip of one of my poems during Christmas. Not because she was proud, because she thought it was hilarious. She talks about anxiety like she invented it. She giggled to her boyfriend, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Then she mimicked my voice, soft, steady, emotional, like it was a joke. Like I was a joke. They laughed. Again. That night, I locked myself in the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror, and whispered, "It's not funny. None of this is funny." But the thing is, it didn't matter. Because to them, I was the family clown. The weird one. The artsy girl, who never quite fit in. A few weeks later, Kyle posted a video of me from a wedding. I was just standing by the dessert table, quietly singing along to the music, not bothering anyone. And he filmed it, without my permission. Captioned it, "Zoe performing her next poem in public." The video went mildly viral among his friends. Not huge, but enough that I got DMs from strangers laughing at me. I cried. Then I stopped crying. Then I got an idea. I didn't fight back the way they expected. I didn't yell, didn't throw a tantrum, didn't beg them to take it down. Instead, I watched. I waited. And I started writing. I wrote every insult down. Every fake apology. Every "it's just a joke." And then I wrote a poem. Not just any poem. The most honest, cutting, rage-filled thing I'd ever created. But I didn't make it bitter. I made it beautiful, raw, precise, funny in a quiet, sharp way. And then I performed it. Lights low, camera steady, my voice calm and clear. Title: "It's Just a Joke." And I uploaded it. At first, it got the usual views. A few thousand overnight. My regular audience showed up, commented support, said they cried. But then, it started to spread. People began tagging others, sharing it on Twitter, stitching it on TikTok. This is what it feels like when people mock you and say it's just a joke. Whoever Zoe Carter is, protect her at all costs. This made me call my sister and apologize. Within a week, it had 1 million views. Then 3, then 10. And suddenly I wasn't the family joke anymore. I was the voice of every person who'd ever been laughed at. But that's getting ahead of myself. Let's go back to the moment I knew things had changed. It was a Sunday. I was sitting on my bed, hair up in a bun, oversized hoodie on, scrolling through notifications. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I had been invited to speak on a podcast. 2 blogs wanted to interview me. A mental health nonprofit asked if they could use my poem in their campaign. I didn't know how to process it. It felt surreal. But the best part? The group chat. See, my cousins have a family group chat, the one I was never in. But now, they were talking about me in it, and forgot to mute me. Thanks, Emma. The messages read, Kyle. Yo, did you see Zoe's video? She's like famous now. Emma. I can't believe she used our jokes for that. Kyle. Kinda messed up. Makes us look bad. Uncle Pete. She always was dramatic. And then my aunt, the one who always ignored me, texted me directly. Congrats on the video, sweetie. So proud of you. Next time you're in town, let's get lunch. I stared at the screen and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because for the first time, they were uncomfortable. I didn't reply. Not yet. I wanted them to really sit in it. To feel what I felt. Because I wasn't just making poetry anymore. I was telling the truth. My truth. And the world was listening. And this time, I was the one writing the jokes. The punchline, they made me a joke. And I became the headliner. It's strange, the way people change when they think you've become someone. One minute they're laughing at you behind your back. The next they're tagging you in Instagram stories like they've always been supportive. That's what it felt like after my poem It's Just a Joke went viral. Suddenly, everyone who once rolled their eyes at my quiet little videos was now pretending to be part of my origin story, like they were characters in a feel-good movie where they helped me rise. But I wasn't giving out co-star credits this time, because I remembered exactly what they said, how they laughed, how they filmed me, how they made me feel small, just so they could feel big. And now they were trying to ride the wave like nothing happened. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. Not when those memories lived in my bones. I was back home the weekend after the video hit 15 million views. I didn't want to go, but Mom insisted I come to Aunt Lisa's birthday barbecue. You'll make the family proud, she said over the phone, her voice coated in fake optimism. I almost laughed. Proud? Of what? The same voice they said was too monotone. The thoughts they called oversensitive. The words they said wouldn't matter. Still, I said yes. Not for them. For me. Because I was tired of hiding. Tired of letting them have the last laugh. The backyard looked the same, as always. Folding chairs. A cooler full of soda. A dozen cousins pretending they liked each other more than they did. But this time, I walked in differently. Not hunched. Not nervous. I walked in wearing a fitted black tank top, tucked into wide-leg jeans, my curly brown hair pulled into a confident high ponytail. I wore my own merch, a sweatshirt that read, "It's just a joke, until it's not." My eyes scanned the group. Emma spotted me first. Her face tightened. Zoe? Oh my God, the celebrity finally made it. She said it like a joke, but her laugh was tight. Off-key. I smiled. Hey, Emma. I didn't hug her. I didn't need to. Aunt Lisa made her way over with a paper plate in one hand, red nails glinting in the sun. You didn't tell us you were so talented, she said, voice sugary sweet. I blinked. You never asked. Her smile wavered. I wasn't here to pretend. Kyle was next. My oh-so-funny cousin with a phone always in his hand and zero self-awareness. Yo, you blew up, huh? He said, already pulling his phone out. Let me get a pic for Snapchat. I stepped back. Actually, I said calmly, I'd prefer you don't film me without permission. You remember what happened last time? His hand froze mid-air. Emma snorted, trying to lighten the mood. Come on, Zoe. You have to admit it's kinda cool. We were like part of your success story. My voice didn't waver. No, you were part of the reason I had to find a voice in the first place. They didn't expect that. Silence. Sweet, heavy silence. I thought maybe they'd apologize. Maybe one of them would pull me aside and say, hey, I didn't know it hurt you that much. I'm sorry. But they didn't. Instead, they did what people like them always do when the mirror's too honest. They got defensive. It's not that deep, Kyle mumbled. We were joking, Emma said again. Everyone in this family teases each other. No, I said. Everyone in this family teased me. You all just laughed. That night, I sat alone on the patio swing. Above me, The stars blinked like soft eyes in the dark sky, the kind of sky that used to make me feel invisible. Now, I felt seen, even if it wasn't by them. My phone buzzed in my hoodie pocket. A new email. Subject: TEDx. Invitation body. We'd love for you to perform your piece and share your journey. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't squeal. I just smiled. Because this wasn't a joke. This was real. The next morning, Mom knocked on my door. I was staying in my childhood bedroom, the same one that had posters of Maya Angelou and Billie Eilish taped to the wall, crumpled drafts of poems in the desk drawer, journals full of heartache under the bed. "Can we talk?" she asked, peeking in. I nodded. She sat on the edge of the bed, smoothing her hands over her slacks like she was ironing her thoughts. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "I didn't know it hurt that much." I looked at her. She didn't laugh at me like the others, but she also never stopped them, never stood up, never said, "Enough." I said nothing. She sighed. "I didn't know how to protect you." I finally spoke. "You didn't have to protect me. You just had to believe me." Her eyes welled. "I do," she whispered. "Now I do." I left that weekend with more clarity than I ever thought I'd get from a barbecue. I didn't need them to change. I didn't need their approval, because I had something better now. Not just an audience, not just views or likes. I had power, the power of voice, of story, of turning pain into poetry. And people listened. Back in my dorm room, I recorded another video. This one wasn't a poem, it was a story. I told them everything: how it started, how it felt, how people minimize cruelty with laughter, how just a joke is never just anything when it hurts. The video was called "When the Punchline Is You." It hit 5 million views in 3 days. Then came duets, replies, DMs from strangers saying, "This was me too." One girl wrote, "You helped me realize my family wasn't joking, they were bullying." Another said, "I played your video for my dad. He cried. We talked for the first time in months." One night, I opened my email and found a message from a well-known online comedy writer. He said, "Your work is brilliant. Have you ever considered writing satire? You have a sharpness to your truth that comedy needs." I read it twice, then laughed. Not in pain. In power, because the girl who used to be the joke, she was now being asked to write the script. The best part? Kyle tried to launch a podcast, called it Family Banter. I listened to half an episode. It flopped. Zero authenticity. Zero heart. Because when your whole personality is built on tearing others down, no one laughs for long. Especially not the internet. The joke was never me. It was them. They just didn't get it. But now, the world does, and I'm just getting started. You know that feeling when you're not sure whether to cry or laugh? That was me. Every single day for weeks. After the school assembly incident, where Tyler and his friends aired that awful meme of me crying on the big screen and said, "Don't worry, it's just a joke," everything changed. But not in a good way. Not at first. At lunch, people would snicker as I walked by. In class, someone behind me would whisper, "Smile for the camera." Every time I moved, I tried to stay invisible, but it's hard when the joke is on you, literally. My name is Eva Martin, 17 years old, and for a long time I believed I had to either play along or stay silent, but I'm done playing along. It started with my journal. One night I was sitting in my room, curled up under my comforter. My room's nothing fancy. A twin bed, a desk covered in open notebooks, a corkboard with crooked sticky notes, and fairy lights that blink softly like a heartbeat. I stared at the blank page in my journal and wrote, "Today they made fun of me again. They laughed. I didn't." Then I wrote another line, and another. By midnight, I had pages and pages, not just rants, but stories about all the times someone said something harmless. A joke, a comment, a whisper that cut deeper than they realized. Things like, "You'd be so pretty if you lost weight." "Relax. It's not that deep. Why are you so sensitive all the time? I wrote them all down. Then I remembered what my older cousin Haley once told me when I was 10 and got bullied for my haircut. If you ever feel powerless, write it down, then say it louder. So the next morning, I created a private TikTok account. No name, no face, just my voice. My first post was just audio. My voice reading one of my journal entries, with a blurry sunset video playing behind it. The caption? They said it was just a joke, but it wasn't funny. I expected nothing. But by the end of the day, the video had 82 likes and 5 comments from strangers. People saying, "This hit me." One girl wrote, "Are you me?" Another person said, "I didn't know how to explain this before. Thank you." I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking. Someone listened. I kept going. Each night, I posted a new clip, small stories, quotes, even little skits where I'd voice both sides of a joke, conversation. I never said names, never even said I was in high school, but slowly the account grew. By the second week, I had 10,000 followers. People were duetting the video, reposting, commenting things like, "Wow, I've been through this too," or "I thought I was overreacting." And one night, I posted a video titled, "How to Turn Their Jokes into Your Story." It was just me, voice only, saying if someone jokes at your expense, they're not joking. They're testing how much you'll take. They're measuring your silence. So speak. The video hit 1 million views in 2 days. And that's when I got scared because some people started connecting the dots. Someone commented, "Are you that girl from the assembly video at Ridgewood High?" I froze. My heart started pounding. I thought about deleting everything. But then, the next comment came in. "If you are, I just want to say I'm sorry." I laughed. And then, I was in that room. I didn't speak up. I should have. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied, "Thank you. I forgive you." At school, things were weird. Tyler and his friends had moved on to new jokes, new targets. But people were starting to look at me differently. Not with pity, but with curiosity. A girl in my biology class, Eva, passed me a note. "Your voice sounds familiar. If it is you, you're amazing." In the hallway, someone whispered, "Your videos helped my sister." I hadn't said anything out loud. Not yet. But I was thinking about it. Because something had shifted. People were laughing. Not at me, but with me. Because I started making new videos. Not just sad stories, but skits. Real comedy, turning the jokes they made about me into punchlines I controlled. Like the time they said I cried too much. I made a video pretending to be a cartoon villain who weaponized her tears. Beware, I shall flood this school with my overreactions. People loved it. It was like reclaiming myself, one video at a time. But Tyler, he wasn't happy. I overheard him in the cafeteria one day. He slammed his tray down and said to his friends, "I swear, that girl thinks she's some kind of celebrity now, for crying." "Seriously?" his friend muttered. "Well, she kinda went viral." Tyler's face turned red. He said, "Bet she's gonna start giving TED Talks on feelings next." Everyone at the table laughed. Except one guy, Josh. He didn't laugh. He just looked down at his tray. That was new. Later that week, I got called into the principal's office. For the first time in months. I thought, what now? But it wasn't bad. Mrs. Sanders, the assistant principal, sat me down and said, "Eva, we've been getting emails, parents, even a few students, about your video." I braced for punishment. But then she smiled. "They're powerful. Would you consider speaking at the upcoming student wellness night?" I blinked. "Like, on stage?" She nodded. "We don't want to force you, but I think your story could help people." My throat went dry. The same auditorium where they had played that video of me. Now they wanted me to stand there and speak? That night, I sat at my desk staring at a blank Google Doc. I was terrified. But I typed. They said it was just a joke, but jokes have weight. And I kept writing. The truth. My voice. The night of the event, I stood behind the curtain in the auditorium, wearing a navy blue dress and my favorite sneakers, because heels make me wobble when I'm nervous. My heart thudded like a drum. The room was packed. Students, parents, teachers. I peeked out and saw Josh sitting in the second row, my English teacher, Eva, even Mrs. Sanders. But what really froze me was seeing Tyler in the back, arms crossed, wearing a bored expression. I almost walked out, but then I heard my name. I stepped out onto the stage. The lights were warm, my hands trembled, but my voice was clear. I spoke for 8 minutes. I talked about jokes, about silence, about how we all laugh to survive, but not at the cost of someone else's dignity. I ended with this: you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be heard. You just have to speak, even if your voice shakes, because the moment you speak, you're not the punchline anymore. You're the writer. And then I walked off stage. The applause started slow, then it grew. Outside the auditorium, people came up to me. A younger girl said, "That made me cry. But like, the good kind." Josh smiled and said, "That took guts." And Ava hugged me. But the most surprising thing, Tyler. He walked up to me with that same smug look and said, "So what? You think you're famous now?" I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "No, I just stopped being afraid of you." He didn't laugh. He didn't say anything. He just walked away, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. That night, I posted a new video, me, finally showing my face. No effects, no filters, just me. I looked into the camera and said, "Hi, I'm Eva. And this is what it looks like to take your power back." You'd think after going viral once, the thrill would fade, but it doesn't. Not when the world finally sees you. Not when people start tagging their friends and saying, "This is exactly what happened to me." Not when strangers message you, saying your voice made them feel less alone. I'm sitting on the floor of my bedroom with my laptop open, eyes wide, mouth dry. My latest video just hit 2 million views in under 2 hours. This time, I didn't just post screenshots. I told a story. I told my story. The camera was angled softly, the lighting warm, the words raw. I started with, "You ever laugh along just so they don't say you're too sensitive?" And from there, I told them about Mark, Lexi, Josh, and the rest of that friend group who made fun of my voice, my clothes, the way I laugh, and then said, "We're just playing, chill." How every joke left me carrying something heavier than anyone could see. And people listened. Not just listened. They shared it. My notifications won't stop buzzing. But I don't even care about the numbers right now. I care that for the first time in my life, my voice is being heard without being imitated or twisted. There's a knock on my bedroom door. Mom peeks in, holding a tray with 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a glass of apple juice. "You've been up here for hours, babe." She sits down beside me, looking at the screen. I half laugh, half cry. "Mom, over 1 million people watched my video. They know what happened. They believe me." She squeezes my shoulder. I always did. I lean into her, and for a moment, I let myself feel safe. Just for a moment. Because not everyone's happy about my rising voice. The comments under the video are 90% positive. But that other 10%, it's them, or people like them. Wow. Victim much? Classic, Gen Z. Always offended. She's probably exaggerating. Her friends seem normal. You're milking this for clout. And the worst one, you should be grateful anyone even noticed you. Each one of those stings. But I knew they were coming. Still hurts though. Because even when you speak up, some people are determined to shut you down. The next morning, Mark posts something on his story. A screenshot of my video, with a clown emoji over my face. Caption: "Guess some people can't take a joke." Lexi follows up with one too. Just a black screen, with the words, "Imagine making up trauma for views." Josh reposts it with a popcorn gif. And suddenly, they're the victims. They start a group chat again. This time it's public. An anti-cancel culture thread. Talking about how humor is under attack. How Eva just wants attention. How they feel sorry for me. their followers. They pile on. Suddenly, my DMs are filled with strangers calling me a liar, a narcissist, a crybaby. One girl sends me a voice memo mimicking the stutter I used to have in middle school. A guy sends a photo of a crying clown captioned, "Eva," after someone said her hair looked messy. It's cruel, calculated, but it's also familiar. And that's the part that chills me. Because this is what they always do. They hit you, and when you flinch, they laugh, and if you cry, they say you're crazy. But not this time. This time the world is watching. I don't cry. I don't delete my video. I don't reply to them directly. Instead, I record another one. This time, I sit in a different spot. Same lighting, same tone. But there's something steadier in my eyes. I press record. I wasn't planning to post again so soon. I start. But apparently, truth makes some people uncomfortable. I talk about performative accountability. I talk about how mockery hides behind laughter. I show old texts from Mark telling me I should stop wearing baggy clothes because I look like a lost boy. A DM from Lexi saying I sound weirdly homeschooled. I even include screenshots of the new clown post. Then I say calmly, if the things I said weren't true, they wouldn't be scrambling to silence me. They'd have nothing to be afraid of. I let my voice waver just once toward the end. I didn't tell my story to cancel anyone. I told it because for once I wanted my version to matter. And apparently, it does. When I upload it, I turn off my phone. I go for a walk, down the street, past the school, past the house where Josh used to throw pool parties I was never invited to. I walk until the ache in my chest loosens. When I finally check my phone again, hours later, I've been reposted by 3 huge mental health accounts. A journalist from a digital outlet wants to interview me. A college girl DMs to say she's writing an essay about my videos for her women's studies class. And there's one more message from Lexi. No clown emojis, just 2 words. You win. But it's not about winning. It never was. It was about surviving out loud. A week later, the school counselor calls me into her office. Apparently, the principal got wind of the videos. So did the school board. There's talk of starting a peer support initiative, Ms. Richards tells me. They'd like you to speak at the next assembly. I blink. Me? She nods. You've already said more with one video than some of us could with a year of assembly. So now I'm sitting in front of a mirror in the girls' bathroom, trying not to throw up before walking into a gym full of people who once laughed at me. I smooth my dark ponytail, pull my light gray cardigan tighter around me, grip the edge of the sink. Then I look at myself, and I say, you're not the joke anymore. I step onto the stage. The microphone feels cold in my hand. Hundreds of eyes stare at me. Some curious, some skeptical, a few angry, but many hopeful. I begin. Same way as my first video? You ever laugh along just so they don't say you're too sensitive? And this time, they listen. Every last one of them. You'd think once you speak at a school assembly and get a standing ovation, everything gets better. But that's not exactly how healing works. Because after the applause dies down, you still walk through the same hallways. You still pass the same lockers, hear the same whispers, and the same people who mocked you for being dramatic now look at you like you're holding a sword. Some avoid eye contact. Some nod awkwardly, like we were always on good terms. And a few? They still post their jokes, just not about me anymore. They're smart enough to shift the target, but I still see them. Same game, different pawn. I go home that afternoon, trying to breathe through it. I tell myself I should feel proud. I should feel brave. But instead, I feel exhausted. I'm not used to attention. Not like this. It's one thing to be invisible. It's another to suddenly feel hypervisible. My inbox is flooded with support. People sharing their stories. Girls telling me how their friends used to call them emotional too. Guys confessing they were bullied for crying once in 3rd grade. It's overwhelming. But somewhere, in all that noise, I find something beautiful. One message stands out, from a girl named Naomi. She writes, I showed your video to my mom. We watched it together. She cried. I've never seen her cry. Thank you for giving her words she didn't know she needed. I read that message at least 10 times, and something in me shifts. This isn't just about my story anymore. It's about all the people who never got to tell theirs. That weekend, I open a blank document. I write the joke was never funny at the top. Then I start writing chapters, not just mine, others too. Stories people sent me, names changed, details blurred, but the pain, the shame, the resilience, all real. I write until my fingers ache, until my eyes blur, until my chest feels light. By the time the school year starts winding down, I've built something I never expected, a platform. It started as one video. Now, it's a series. Now it's a community. I call it Laugh Back, a digital space where people share the jokes that cut them deep and how they found the courage to laugh on their own terms. We post anonymous submissions. We make short videos reenacting real stories, word for word. We even started a podcast, me and a girl named Brooke from Oregon. She went through something similar with her cousins. Every week we talk about healing through humor, real humor, not the kind that punches down. One day, Ms. Richards, the school counselor, pulls me aside. "You know," she says, handing me a folder, "you've done more for this school's culture than you realize." Inside the folder is a proposal. The school board wants to turn Laugh Back into a school-sponsored digital media elective, an actual class. Wait, you mean like students could earn credit? I ask, stunned. She nods. With your guidance, of course, if you're willing. And just like that, the girl who was the joke becomes the curriculum. I still have bad days. Days I see Mark in the hallway and feel my stomach twist. Days someone on TikTok says I'm capitalizing on trauma. Days I stare at my screen and wonder if this was all a mistake. But then someone sends me a clip. It's from a high school in Colorado. A girl stands in front of her English class, reading an essay titled "The Joke That Almost Broke Me." And at the end she says, "I'm not crying because I'm weak. I'm crying because I stayed quiet for too long. Thanks to Eva Martin, I'm done staying quiet." I sit in my room and cry. But it's not the kind of cry they used to mock. It's the kind that cracks something open. The kind that feels like freedom. A few weeks later, I get an unexpected text from Lexi. "Hey, I know I said you win before, but I've been thinking, I owe you more than that." I stare at the message. Part of me wants to delete it. Ignore her. Let her live with what she did. But something in me pauses. I reply, "What exactly are you thinking?" She responds with a long paragraph. Says she's been in therapy. That watching the videos made her realize how cruel she was. How much she laughed just to fit in with the guys. How empty it made her feel afterward. She says she's sorry. Says she knows I don't owe her anything. But she'd like to meet. No pressure. I take a deep breath. My thumb hovers over the screen. And I write. One coffee. Public place. No cameras. Just talk. We meet at a cafe near the library. Lexi looks nervous. She's wearing a hoodie and no makeup. I can tell she's not here to perform. She orders chamomile tea. I get hot chocolate. We sit down, and for the first time in years, she doesn't smile at my expense. Instead, she says, "I used to think you were so weak." I raise an eyebrow. "Thanks? No. I mean," she exhales, "I thought crying made someone fragile. But now, I think being able to cry in public is stronger than anything I've ever done." I sip my drink slowly. She continues, "I can't take back what I did. I'm sorry. Truly." I don't say anything for a moment. Then I nod. "I accept your apology. Doesn't mean we're friends. But thank you for showing up." She smiles softly. "I didn't come here for friendship. I came here for accountability." That line stays with me. The next Laughback video features an anonymous story. We blur the face, modulate the voice. But it's Lexi's story, about being a bystander, a follower, and learning to face yourself in the mirror. The comment section explodes with praise, not for her, but for the idea that people can grow. That maybe, just maybe, healing doesn't have to mean revenge. I still think about Mark sometimes. He never apologized. Still posts dumb jokes with the same group, still makes fun of cancel culture. But I don't need his apology. Because every time I hit publish, I rewrite the story. And every time someone sends me a message saying, "You helped me find my voice," that's more powerful than any sorry could ever be. It's funny how healing sneaks up on you. One day, you're sitting in your room, reliving every insult like it's tattooed on your skin. And the next, you realize you haven't thought about them in weeks. That's where I am now, not healed, but healing. And it feels real. Not like pretending I'm fine, not like forcing a smile, but like finally breathing without the weight on my chest. Laugh Back keeps growing, faster than I ever imagined. We get featured on a podcast that reaches over 1 million listeners. A local news station does a story on me, calls me a voice for the unheard. I smile through the interview, but afterward I cry, not because I'm sad, but because the girl they're talking about, she's me. And for the first time, that feels like something to be proud of. Then, one afternoon, I get a call I never expected. It's from a woman named Darcy, who works at a teen empowerment nonprofit in Los Angeles. She says, "We're hosting a youth digital summit this spring. We want you to be our keynote speaker." I blink. "Wait, me? A keynote speaker?" Darcy laughs. "Eva, you started a nationwide conversation. Kids are quoting you. Schools are reaching out. You're already speaking, you just haven't stood on that stage yet." I say yes. Even though I'm terrified, I spend weeks preparing. I practice in front of my mirror, in front of my phone camera, even in front of my cat Bella. I rewrite the speech at least 10 times, until it's not just about what happened to me, it's about what happens to all of us. How we're told to laugh along, how our pain becomes someone else's punchline. How sometimes silence is safer than honesty. But also, how sharing our stories turns shame into strength. The day of the summit, I stand backstage with a mic clipped to my collar. My heart races like it's trying to outrun me. I take deep breaths. In, out, in, out. Then I hear the host call my name. And now, the girl who made the internet laugh with her. Not at her, Eva Martin. I step into the spotlight, and the room goes quiet. "I used to believe crying made me weak," I begin, voice steady. "I believed it because they told me, because they laughed, because they said, 'It's just a joke.' But the truth is, the real joke was thinking I had to stay silent." I talk about the first time I broke down in the hallway, about how the whispers followed me like shadows, about the way laughter can cut deeper than cruelty. Then, I talk about Laugh Back, about how stories have power, how owning your narrative is a kind of armor, how we don't need to get even, we just need to be heard. When I finish, the room erupts in applause. But it's not the clapping that moves me, it's the faces. Some are smiling, some are crying, some just nod quietly, like finally, someone said it. After the speech, I get swarmed with hugs, selfies, people telling me I said what they've always felt. But one moment stands out. A girl, maybe 15, walks up to me, holding a tiny notebook. She's shaking. "I wrote this because of your first video," she says. "It's my story. I haven't shown it to anyone. But I want you to have it." She places the notebook in my hands like it's sacred. And in that second, I understand something I hadn't before. This isn't just about going viral. It's about building a bridge from my pain to someone else's healing. A few weeks later, I get an email from a publishing company. They want to turn "The Joke Was Never Funny" into a real book, a real published book. They say, I have a unique voice. They want to amplify it. I sit there, staring at the screen. The girl who once hid in a bathroom stall after a group chat made fun of her crying is being offered a book deal. I call my mom. She screams so loud I have to hold the phone away from my ear. I sign the contract. We start editing the manuscript. They send over cover ideas, and suddenly, it feels real. Like my story is no longer something I have to explain. It's something people will read, will carry, will use to feel seen. Of course, not everyone claps. There are always the trolls. The ones who say I'm attention-seeking, that I capitalized on being sensitive. Some even try to bring up old screenshots, comments I made years ago out of frustration. I don't pretend to be perfect. I respond once, publicly. I'm not asking to be your role model. I'm just telling the truth. If it helps you, great. If not, keep scrolling. That shuts most of them up. At school, things shift again. Not because people suddenly become kind, but because now they know I'm not afraid anymore. I walk through the halls like I belong, because I do. Mark still exists, still smirks when he sees me, still rolls his eyes when someone mentions the book, but I don't flinch. Because he doesn't matter. Not really. Not anymore. I'm standing in the school library one day when Miss Richards approaches me. "Eva," she says, "have you thought about what you want to do after graduation?" I pause. I've been so caught up in the present, I forgot to dream ahead. Honestly, I think I want to study media, storytelling, maybe journalism, something where I can keep helping people tell the truth. She smiles. "You already are." The book launches in early fall. It's not a bestseller, not yet, but it sells enough. Enough to get picked up by school districts, enough to land me on a panel with real authors, enough to make 12-year-old me feel like she finally got a win. The best part? The dedication page. For everyone who was told they were too sensitive. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. I look back sometimes, not with anger, but with a strange kind of gratitude. Because if they hadn't laughed at me, I might have never found my voice. I might have never started Laugh Back. I might have never helped that girl hand me her notebook at the summit. Sometimes pain is the doorway. Sometimes shame is the spark. And sometimes a single cruel joke is all it takes to ignite a movement. I never thought healing would look like this. I used to imagine it would feel loud and powerful, like some dramatic movie scene. But really, healing is quiet. It's walking past people who once broke you and not feeling the need to look back. It's waking up and not bracing for what the internet might say. It's laughing and knowing it's truly yours. It's been 6 months since my book, The Joke Was Never Funny, was released. I'm 18 now, graduate college bound. I got accepted into Emerson with a scholarship to study media and writing. When I opened the email, I didn't scream or jump. I just sat there in my room, hand over my mouth, whispering I did it over and over until the tears came. Not because I doubted I could, but because I never thought I'd get this far without them dragging me back. Laugh Back is still going strong. We have over 500K followers now, but it's not about the numbers anymore. It's about the messages, the ones that pour in daily, from teens, from parents, from teachers. I showed your video to my daughter. I used your post to talk to my class about bullying. My son finally opened up after watching your speech. And my favorite, you made me feel like I wasn't weird for crying. That one, that one hit deep, because for the longest time, I was the weird girl who cried too much. And now I'm the girl who made crying mean something. At our final Laugh Back team meeting before college, I sit with Mia, Andre, and Kyla in my living room. Mia grins. "You realize you started all this because Mark laughed at you, right?" I raise an eyebrow. "You're giving him credit now?" We all laugh. Kyla sips her iced tea. No credit, just perspective. Andre leans forward. "Eva, you didn't just react. You built something. You didn't clap back with hate. You made space. That's rare." I swallow the lump in my throat. They're right. This started as survival, but it became a blueprint for others to rise to. A few days later, I get a surprising message. It's from him, Mark, the guy who said my tears were too much, the guy who started the chain reaction that nearly broke me. He writes, "Hey, saw the book. Congrats. I know I don't deserve a response, but I'm sorry. I thought it was harmless. I didn't realize how deep it went. I was stupid." I stare at the screen. Then I close the message. I don't block him. I don't reply. I just let it be. Because some chapters end with silence, and that's okay. The night before I leave for college, I stand in my room, half empty now, holding the first notebook I ever wrote in after everything happened. The one with tear stains and angry scribbles. I flip to a page I barely remember writing. They said it was just a joke, but it felt like a warning. Don't feel. Don't show. Or we'll make you pay for it. I smile. Then I write underneath it in fresh ink. So I felt anyway. I showed up anyway. And I made them watch. I close the notebook. Move-in day at Emerson is chaos. Boxes everywhere. Parents crying. Roommates meeting for the first time. My mom hugs me so tight I can't breathe. I'm proud of you, Eva, she whispers. I know, I say, smiling. Not because I'm cocky, but because I finally believe it too. My dorm is small but cozy. My roommate, Talia, is from Chicago. She's bubbly, wears graphic tees with feminist slogans, and squealed when she recognized me. Oh my God, you're the girl from Laughback, right? I literally made a TikTok about your book. We click instantly. That night, she shows me around campus. And for the first time, I walk into a place where no one knows the version of me that cried in the hallway, only the version who turned her voice into a movement. A few weeks into the semester, one of my professors pulls me aside. Eva, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? I blink. A podcast? She nods. You have a story, a following, and a message. People would listen. That night, I call Kyla and pitch the idea. She's immediately in. Andre offers to help with editing. Mia screams over FaceTime. Finally! Within a month, we launch Laugh Louder, a podcast where people share stories of being mocked, silenced, or dismissed, and how they took their power back. The first episode? It's mine. I tell the full story. No edits, no script, just raw truth. The podcast hits 100,000 downloads in 2 weeks. I get invited to panels, Zoom into high schools, even record a mini docuseries for a teen mental health platform. But through it all, I stay grounded, because I know what it's like to be the girl shaking in a bathroom stall, trying not to sob loud enough for anyone to hear. I know what it's like to be laughed at for bleeding openly. So I never forget the goal isn't revenge, it's recognition. Sometimes I think about the old me, the Eva who shrank into silence, who believed that her feelings made her weak, who thought if she just acted fine, maybe the world would finally accept her. I want to hug that version. Tell her she wasn't broken, just breaking free. We do a live taping of the podcast at a youth center in Atlanta one day. Afterward, a young guy with acne scars and nervous eyes approaches me. He clears his throat. I used to make fun of people like you, he says, until I became someone like you. Depression hit hard last year. Your podcast, it helped me not feel like a freak. I blink back tears. Thank you for telling me, I say gently. He nods. It's not just a podcast. It's proof that crying doesn't mean you lost. It means you're still fighting. That night, I write another journal entry. They called me dramatic, but drama moves people, and I'd rather move the world than sit quietly while it mocks mine. I've stopped trying to erase my sensitivity. I've started celebrating it instead. Because feeling deeply, that's not a flaw. That's where art begins. That's where truth begins. That's where I began. So go ahead. Call me dramatic. Call me soft. Call me sensitive. But also, call me an author. Call me a speaker. Call me the founder of a movement. Call me Eva Martin, the girl who made the internet laugh back.